My name's Jerry Norton, and after living in Puerto Rico full-time for 4 years, we're finally leaving the island. On this video, I'm gonna break down everything I've learned, the good, the bad, and the ugly, coming up. So I moved here to Puerto Rico with my wife and 10 kids, same mom, same dad, no twins, all our kids. And we moved here 4 years ago, and we came here for the tax benefit called Act 60. Now, because Puerto Rico is a territory of the US, there are some IRS tax incentives that if you follow very specific rules, you can live in Puerto Rico and get some really, really attractive tax benefits. Basically, total of 4% income tax and 0 capital gains. So tremendous opportunity for taxes, and that's why we came. We wanted to take advantage of those tax benefits, but there are some rules to Act 60 that you must follow to qualify for the tax benefits. Now, this is quite extensive. I'm gonna try to high level break it down for you. Definitely if you're considering coming to Puerto Rico for Act 60, you're gonna wanna make sure you really understand all of these rules, because when I came, I didn't quite understand them all fully. It took me some time to get my head around exactly what they all mean and how to comply, all the way. So the first one is you have to spend at least 6 months and 1 day in Puerto Rico. So that would be considered your primary residence. You have to make it your primary residence. You have a certain window of time to buy that primary residence. But part of the incentive, the reason why they created this, is they want you to come to the island and immerse yourself into the culture, into the economy. And the benefit there, the reason why, is to bring your money, invest here, and help the economy. That's why they're offering the tax incentive. So you can't fake this. You can't half-ass it or pretend it. You gotta do it for real. So buy your primary residence. You have to be present on the island for at least 183 days. On top of that, there's another rule called closer connection, meaning you cannot have too close of a connection to the mainland. So they want you to sort of sever ties there. You can't have a tax haven there, so you can't have corporate offices, and you can't operate from a brick and mortar in the mainland while you're living here. If you have property that you own back in the mainland, if you go there often, then that could be considered a tax haven. It could be considered violating closer connection. So you want to cancel your gym membership, your affiliation with churches. You got to leave all of that there and come here. Really what they want you to do, the way I best heard it described, was if you go back to the mainland, then you want to basically be living out of a suitcase. So if you've got like a second home in the mainland that you go to and it's got all your stuff in there, that could be considered a tax haven and it could violate your qualifications for Act 60. So you gotta commit to this. Another rule they have is a clawback rule. If you don't do it for at least 3 years, you come for a year and then go back, they could claw back all of the tax benefit you did for the 1 year. So it's a minimum 3-year commitment. We did it 4 years. We did a whole extra year just to really play it safe and make sure that we were here long enough. Now, when you come to Puerto Rico and you do Act 60, if that's something that's interesting to you, one thing that I've kind of come to the conclusion of is don't do it unless you're saving at least $500,000 in taxes. Now, why so much? Well, a couple reasons. If you come here for the tax benefit, then you're gonna be living in probably an expat type community. There's only a couple of them. There's the really expensive one is Dorado. That's where the billionaires go. I mean, homes there are $10 to $50 million. The community membership is $150,000 annually. We live in one called Palmas Delmare. It's the largest planned community. I think it's amazing. It's very hilly. There's beautiful views. There's 26 or 27 neighborhoods. We lived on the south side, which is the estate side of the community, but it's got golf courses and it's got clubhouses and restaurants and a plaza and beaches, and we just golf cart around, and we just really fell in love with Palmas Delmare. The house we bought had this amazing view. In fact, I'm gonna talk about our house because we're selling it. You're gonna be spending a lot of money to leave mainland and come to one of these expat communities. Also, housing just in and of itself is very, very expensive on upkeep. You're on an island, you're on the ocean, salty air. We are doing maintenance on the property constantly, almost full-time maintenance on painting, on water, repairs, because it rains so much. Just that humid, salty air, everything rusts very quickly. So we spend a lot of money and resources on the upkeep of the properties. If you are keeping some resources back home, then you have two of that, right? So you're gonna have a car there, a car here. You're gonna be traveling back and forth. That's what we did. We traveled with our family back and forth. So while you're saving quite a bit in taxes, you're also picking up this very high increase in expense. If you're coming for the taxes, then probably you're saving a lot to make that big transition because you're doing a 3-year commitment, you're leaving your family, you're leaving everything behind. You're cutting those ties, you're coming here, you're making it your primary residence. So you better be getting a big benefit in the taxes if that's the decision you're gonna make. Okay, now, let me talk about some of my biggest things I learned was definitely you wanna be buying in the right area. I talked a minute about that. If you're bringing a family, if you're bringing children, you want that sort of community. If you're single, then you've got lots of options because you can do San Juan and the city life. You can go to the west side in Rincon and it's very like surf community. You got lots of options if you're single, no kids. But if you've got a family, it brings a lot of challenge because you got to be thinking through some of these things. Are you going to be putting your kids in school, public school, private school? I think most people I've met that are Act 60 homeschool their kids. So you got to be prepared for that. Are you willing to homeschool? That's what I see, probably 90% of entrepreneurs doing Act 60, they homeschool. For us, we homeschooled previously, so it wasn't a big transition for us to homeschool. One thing that I was not aware of that we would run into is the Go Home Gringo movement. So there is a minority group here on the island that is not super favorable about Act 60, about Americans coming here and buying and investing, and so there's a little bit of that. You'll get that resistance. Be prepared for that. I wasn't prepared for that. I had no idea that that was a thing because I'm loud and on YouTube and social media and have that online presence. I get a lot of that. So it's something that you have to be prepared for and comfortable with. If you're an entrepreneur and you're kind of quiet behind the scenes, then you won't see that as much. But if you are like me and I'm investing, I bought a hotel, I'm building, I'm doing things, then I draw some attention and I get a lot of that, call it backlash, where there's a certain part of the island that does not like the American movement here and the tax benefits. Okay, and I know I'm gonna get some comments. If you don't believe me, read the comments and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I've done other videos about Puerto Rico and I get a lot of that, but it's okay. It comes with the territory. I'm okay with it. I'm just being honest with you and sharing with you watching this. I'm assuming that you're somebody considering moving here for Act 60, so I'm talking directly to you. If you wanna move here for other reasons, go for it. If you wanna have an ocean experience and a culture and immerse yourself and all of that, then great. I'm all for it. I'm talking specifically about coming here for the tax incentive. Spanish is a challenge. I speak Spanish fluently. I learned Spanish when I lived in Argentina for 2 years. So that's been a tremendous benefit to me to already speak Spanish. Spanish is the first language, but you can get around just fine without Spanish. Most of your services, restaurants and everything, they speak English. I very rarely have run into where if you don't speak Spanish, it's gonna be a problem where you can't do things and communicate. But it is a nuance that you're gonna have to be used to or get used to, is that there's a lot of inconvenience that you may not be used to when you come to Puerto Rico. Shopping can be a little challenging. Amazon can be a little challenging. There's things that don't ship here or are hard to get here. And so with us, with a big family, with lots of kids, homeschooling, it's been a little bit difficult for, getting the things that we are used to getting very quickly. If you're near a hub with Amazon in the US, you could buy something and it's there that day, or tomorrow, and here it's a little bit more. So you gotta be prepared for that, a little bit used to that. One of the things that's been probably the biggest downside for me is how dark it gets. It gets dark all year long, 6:30, 7 o'clock. So, if you work during the day or you're doing things during the day, then it gets dark very early. And so with us, with a family, with kids, it's a challenge to be like, okay, now what do we do? It's dark outside and it's only 7 o'clock and bedtime's not till 9:30 or whatever. So we really got into pickleball here, where we would go to the courts that light up at night. And so we had to get creative on finding like nighttime activities, but you want to be prepared for that. It was something that I didn't know would be as challenging as it is. We actually at our house built a sport court with lights so that we could be playing outside at night. We do a lot of swimming at night in our pool, but it's much different than wherever you're coming from that might have long summer nights and you're used to that. I talked a little bit about the salty air, the humidity. Those are some things that year round, it's humid. It's either humid or super humid. If you're not comfortable with that or used to that, that might be a transition. A couple of hobbies that I got into while we were here is collecting sea glass. So it's really fun. Sea glass, if you don't know what it is, it's glass that tumbles from years and years, and you can collect it on the beach. I created this massive jar. I would go with the kids. We would hunt for sea glass. That was a really fun thing that we started doing. You can go to certain beaches that have more of it than other beaches. And I got into iguana hunting. So iguanas are invasive on the island. There's, I don't know, millions of iguanas. So it was a hobby I did with my boys, where with high-powered pellet guns, we would actually hunt iguanas. Don't worry, we sell them for meat to restaurants and things. So it became like one activity that we did here because there's endless iguanas that are invasive on the island. Finding loyal help or competent help has been a real challenge. And as a real estate investor doing a lot of projects, finding labor on the island has been somewhat of a challenge. Getting materials on the island has been somewhat of a challenge. When we did the hotel where I'm recording right now, we bought a dilapidated, vacant 25-room hotel and brought it to life, invested millions of dollars into the project. And it's right here in Santurce, close to San Juan. And we did the entire hotel with Puerto Rican material and labor, and we did that intentionally because we wanted to show the community that we're really invested in the community, into Puerto Rico. But that was challenging. So if you're doing projects like that, or you're looking for help, maybe you're looking for a tutor or a landscaper, things like that, it can be very challenging. We've had a really hard time finding labor and help to do things here on the island. Another thing that we didn't know about that's a thing here is sargasm. Now, sargasm is this seaweed that floats in on the island. In certain parts of the island, it builds up on the beaches. It can smell like rotten eggs. Because we're on the east side in Palmas del Mar, sargasm is an issue. They have to clean it off the beaches quite a bit. People complain about it all the time. So that's something that you want to be aware of. Certain beaches have it, certain beaches don't, depending on time of year, where you're at. But again, I'm just bringing everything to light that I didn't know about, learned about, was either great or not so great. And they're constantly trying to figure out a solution to the sargasm, because if they can figure out how to clean it up, it will really improve some of the beaches that are amazing beaches. Okay, so another challenge that you're gonna have to get used to is potholes. So because of humidity, I think, and salt and some of the elements, all the rain, the roads deteriorate really, really quickly. I mean, you will hit potholes that will rattle your brains when you're driving around. So that's something where we came from Arizona before Puerto Rico, and the roads are like pristine and perfect. And you come to Puerto Rico and you're gonna be managing and navigating and dodging a lot of potholes. And so that's a challenge that you may not be used to, that you'll wanna be aware of. Driving in and of itself is challenging on the island. Driving is much different than most mainland driving. One of the challenges that I face constantly is there's no speed lane on the freeway. It's free game. So you'll have someone going 40 miles an hour in the left lane, and everyone just has to navigate around that. There's no rule around that. There's no etiquette around that. Whatever lane you want to be in, as fast as you want to go. Another thing that I run into all the time is merging. So when cars merge, in the US, you're taught to merge to the speed of traffic, and it's seamless. Here, people come in real slow and they'll actually stop right before getting into the driving lane on the freeway. And so then when they do pull out, they're only going 10 miles an hour and you're coming down the freeway. So you're constantly trying to, navigate the driving style here that's much different. Now, one thing that is absolutely phenomenal are the beaches here. They are beautiful beaches. We've seen the most pristine beaches, clear water. So we love to go explore the beaches. We love El Yunque. It's the only rainforest in North America. That's really, really fun to go and explore and do hikes there. So much outdoor activity with hiking and beaches and exploring. We've absolutely loved just seeing all the beauty and all the amazing things in the island. I think one of the final things I'll talk about is, I think since Hurricane Maria in 2017, they didn't bring back all of the power plants. So the grid struggles here. You'll have rolling power outages all the time. Sometimes they're 10 minutes, sometimes they're 10 hours, but power going out all the time is normal. So a generator is a big deal. In our home in Palmas del Mar, we have a big diesel backup generator. As soon as the power goes out, literally in 2 seconds, everything's back on, and it's not much of a disruption, other than if power's out for like a week, we've had to order a diesel truck to come fill up our generator or store diesel, because we have had a few times where we've had power for about a week that's gone out. But usually it's very quick and you're back up and on. Here in the hotel, we have a big generator to service the entire hotel. And when the power goes out for very long, the hotel just gets slammed because people come to the hotel because we have a generator. So, that's something you're gonna think about. If you're considering moving here, one thing you might wanna consider is, do you have a home generator? Because that's gonna be a big priority for you if you don't wanna be, in hot, humid weather with no generator. Traveling to and from Puerto Rico, depending on where you're from, can be quite a challenge as well. We would go back and forth between Puerto Rico to some property we have in Montana, because that's where we would go when we lived in Arizona. But from Whitefish area, the Flathead area of Montana, which is northern Montana, to Puerto Rico was a massive travel day. I mean, we would have sometimes 2 layovers. It would be all day travel with the kids. So if you're from out west, getting to Puerto Rico can be quite challenging. Florida, not so bad. From Tennessee now, where we're moving to next, it's a couple hour flight and we're there. So that's one thing to consider is check out, can you do direct flights from where you want to go back and forth from? How challenging is that? And it's something to really just be aware of. We weren't quite aware of how challenging that would be. Time zone changes and layovers with kids was pretty tricky. I kind of touched on some of the things that I really loved, some of the things that were a challenge, some things that I wished I would have known about before, we came, that we didn't really know until we got here and figured it out. But I will say one of the things that I've loved a lot is just getting to know so many really amazing people. We've made some tremendous friends. What I found is a lot of the entrepreneurs that come here are very out of the box. They're very creative. What's the right word? They're very gritty. They're willing to overlook challenges that might be in a completely new place, and just great attitude, doing all kinds of different things. I've met entrepreneurs that were outside of my sphere, which is real estate, and just really made some great friends. Our kids have thrived here. They've made some tremendous friends, learned how to surf and learned Spanish a little bit, and got to see another culture, got to live on the ocean. It's an experience now after 4 years that I'll never forget. I've absolutely loved the time here. I would stay forever. Unfortunately, Anne Marie, my wife, missed home, missed the mainland. And so it was just time. So we're leaving the island, but we're still gonna come back quite a bit because we have projects here, we're building here, we have our hotel here. And so I think we'll be back quite often. One of the things that is really cool is Old San Juan. Old San Juan is a 500-year-old city. You get to see sort of an old Europe feel when you go there, original cobblestone roads, these just historic buildings, and it's fun to have learned the culture there, bring our kids into the culture. And we've just been able to really get to love the people of Puerto Rico. We've gotten really close to a lot of people that we've employed, a lot of friends that we've become friends with here that are local Puerto Rican. And so we've loved it. It's been just an amazing experience. So grateful for the opportunity. But if you're considering coming here for Act 60, I hope this gave you a lot of ideas of what to expect. But we're selling our home. So our home in Palmas del Mar, which is about an hour from the airport. It's the east side of the island. It's this, like I said, a master plan community. It is just a really awesome place. There's a marina there, restaurants, a plaza, golf courses, a beach club, all kinds of beaches you can go to. You get around on a golf cart, so it's a golf cart community. It's extremely safe. There's 24/7 security. You come through a big gate and you're in the community. Then you have individual subdivisions. There's a lot of growth happening, new homes being built, and it's lush, it's green, it's beautiful. I let my kids drive around in their golf carts all around the community, felt totally safe. So it's just been an amazing place. I highly recommend that if you have a family, very family friendly too. There is activities going on in Palmas del Mar every night of the week. There's soccer club, running club, there's groups for entrepreneurs, for women, for men, for teens, for kids. Just so much to do there. Very close-knit community. So that's been an awesome place to live. And we're selling our home. If you're interested in maybe coming to Puerto Rico, we have one of the best homes, I believe, because we're on a big lot. We have lots of space. Even though we're in a gated community, we have a ton of privacy. We have some greenbelt area around us. There's no one on the sides of us. There's an empty lot. If you're facing the house to the right, no one in front of us. So even though we're in this community subdivision, we feel very private. We have, a pool off the back of the property. I built a gazebo office, which has just been really cool because it's all glass. I look at the ocean, I look at the pool from my office. you know, and we've done a lot of upgrades to the homes. We have this tremendous view, just this beautiful view of the ocean. You can see the Vieques Island, you can see the rainforest from our view. And you know, you wake up to this magical experience of living on the ocean. This is a family home. We've got a zip line, we've got this tree house we built, we've got a sport court with half pipes for the kids. It's just been this really fun property for a family. If that's you and you're considering coming, then reach out to me. I'll put a link below of our house if you're interested in taking a look at that. But our house is for sale. We are looking to sell that home now and looking for a buyer for that home. So maybe that's you. If you're watching this and you're interested, let me know. And I'd love to have you check it out and tell you all of it, everything you want to know about the community, about Puerto Rico, everything that we've loved and learned. But guys, I hope you make it an experience for you and your family. I hope you come and do it. I highly recommend it. I think it's been one of the best things I've done and just so grateful for it. Thank you, Puerto Rico, for giving me this opportunity. The people here, the opportunities here. To me, this is a wide open opportunity here for real estate investing. There's high demand for hospitality. So bringing on hotels or Airbnb, boutique, anything that is housing related, there's additional tax benefits that you can do as well that they offer for providing housing here for vacation. So that's been really cool. Anyway, so I just have loved it. Thank you guys and hope you come. Let me know if this is something that you're gonna do, and I'm just excited for you for that. Talk to you soon.